Back to the Rose Bowl. Florida State finishes third in the college football playoff rankings, where they will return to the place where they won it all last year in Pasadena. And they will take on the 2-seed Oregon Ducks. Hello everyone, I'm Ray Crawford. Our Florida State insider is Tim Linafelt, and he joins us now from Tallahassee. And Tim, many of us were surprised to see the Seminoles at number 4 last week. They finished third in the rankings. Are you surprised, though, as defending champs with an unbeaten record, they weren't ranked a little higher?
Not really at this point. You could kind of see it coming with the way they had sort of slipped in the rankings, from midseason to now. I think number 4 was a little low, so I wasn't surprised to see them jump to number 3. But otherwise, I think it was about what people expected.
The big storyline in this one is going to be the head-to-head showdown between the reigning Heisman Trophy winner and Jameis Winston and the top contender for this year's award, Marcus Mariota. How do you see this matchup playing out in Pasadena?
I think it's really exciting. I think if you're a college football fan, it's about as best you could ask for, and I think if you're a Florida State fan, you're really encouraged by the fact that Jameis Winston last night against Georgia Tech played probably his best game of the year. Over 300 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and around 75% on his completion percentage. He really did look about as good as he has all year, and that's especially encouraging coming off of his performance against Florida last week, which was probably the worst of his career. So if he can sustain that momentum into the Rose Bowl, it's definitely a good sign for Florida State.
Unlike last year's undefeated run, in which they really dominated and ran their way through the schedule, it was a little more competitive this year. How, though, does this team stack up, do you think, to last year's team?
Well, it really doesn't, and that's not an insult. I think, especially around here in Tallahassee, people have come to appreciate last year's team perhaps even more than they did a year ago. Just how good it was, how dominant it was, and especially on defense, the kind of players they had, the NFL level talent that is now making a big impact in the pros even today. So it's not last year's team, and as a result, I think it's maybe judged a little more harshly than it would be if it was just 13-0, on its own merit in a standalone season. So that doesn't mean that they're not a good team. That doesn't mean that they're not deserving. But I think Jimbo Fisher would tell you that last year's team, at least in his opinion, was one of the all-time greats in recent college football.
Well, they certainly have the edge over Oregon in being there just last year on the big stage. Tim, thanks very much for the insight.
You got it.
For ongoing coverage of the college football playoff, check out our other videos, including our Pete Futak and Doug Chapman, who answered the question, did the committee get it right? It's up now on CampusInsiders.com.